From where we work to where they live. From our technology to supporting theirs. From each and every one of us to each and every one of them. Everything we do affects everything they do. That's why how we work, what we believe, our values make all the difference.
We share our success with the community
to make the world in which we work better than it was yesterday.
We keep our commitments to each other and our customers.
We know teamwork enables us to serve our customers better and faster.
We focus outward on the customer, not inward.
Our actions produce measurable results.
We run to a crisis, not away.
We are committed to doing the right thing.
This is our credo. Our guide to what really matters. How we stay connected to each other and to them. We are Verizon.
Hello, happy Friday. We are now live for our first Fireside Friday chat. It's a big day. Talent acquisition team in Dublin, part of the wider TA team within Verizon, is back in the Sandyford offices today. So we've all come back in together and we're kicking off our first Fireside Friday chat today. And we've got a phenomenal person to join us today. We've got Nick Power. So we'll cut straight to it. I'm going to bring Nick in now. Nick, you are here and live. How are you?
Hey, Park. You well?
Yeah, not bad. Happy Friday.
Yeah.
I was saying to you just before we kicked off, we're back in the offices now. So it's a bit of an exciting day for the team.
It's great. I was in there yesterday. I went in yesterday to see a few people. So it was nice to be back and see a few faces, have a bit of lunch with people.
That's the thing.
So yeah, it's good. It's good vibes.
What was the general mood with getting back to the office? There's mixed reviews on LinkedIn and general out there at the moment.
Yeah, I think I actually was having a conversation with my wife about this last night as well. I think, and not just about the office. I think people in general are still a little hesitant to go back to normal life again, right? Going out, socializing and stuff. We've been locked up for 2 years, especially in Ireland, right? It's been a little bit harder. Yeah. And people need to get time to adjust. Now it's starting to come back. You see, people are starting to go on foreign holidays again. They're starting to go out and have to the pubs. The restaurants are starting to get really busy again. So, but there's still a little bit of hesitancy. Should I be doing this? Should I not? People, are they going to wear masks or not going to wear masks? Stuff like that. Since we've dropped our mask mandate.
Yeah.
So, people need time to adjust, and going back to the office is the same. So we have in Verizon, we haven't mandated a return. It's voluntary right now. And even when we do in engineering, it's going to be 1 day a month. That's the only mandatory we're going to ask you to do. We may ask you to come in occasionally to do a workshop or stuff like that. And we're going to leave it up to the teams. Now, what I'm seeing already is that some teams are coming in, they're picking a day and they're coming in to all be together. Some people are coming in on Friday in the Sandyford office in Dublin. There's a market, a food, kind of street food market across the road. People are coming in purposely, to work together, but then all go to the market together, and have that social bond that we've been missing for 2 years,
Yeah, it's
so,
funny.
It's
funny you say that because I'm in trouble now because I've timed this call at the exact time when the team wants to go to the food market.
So your team wants to go to the market, yeah. There'll still be some food left in the market. It goes on till for another hour, so you'll be fine.
I hope so. You,
I've got
you
into trouble with that before, organizing meetings around the market time. You don't mess with people's street food.
Oh no, grub is important. The meat mafia in Sandyford is phenomenal.
Yeah,
I'm
it's good. Yeah.
I popped up during well, it was last year now, but just to get a flavour for it. The offices were still closed, but I popped up and they were still going strong, the meat mafia. So we'll be over there now.
Yeah.
But you touched on something I think is really important. We're going back to the office. I'm here today. You were here yesterday, but you don't have to be here every day, and that's new to Verizon Connect. That flexibility
Yeah,
around.
we were much more a very physical. Everyone in the office. We benefited from that. Like we were one of the top kind of lean companies in Dublin for producing software. We do the lean development model. Over the last couple of years, we've probably lost it a little bit with the pandemic. So people say, well, working from home, yeah, it is good. And I'm a avid fan of working from home, especially in a hybrid model. I did it for years in various companies.
Yeah,
So, but there's a different way of working. And when we were all at home, we saw some benefits and then we saw some negatives, right? Especially around communication between teams, and starting off new projects, but also, teams kind of went into a little bit more siloed, right? And
yes,
you only kind of worked with your team, right?
yeah,
Now we have to try and figure out how we work, how do we change that in a hybrid model? So I'm getting back to our lean principles. I'm really kind of driving that this year. And to how to work in our lean model, because no one can be physical anymore, right? And we're
no,
hiring people in that are not going to be able to get to the office even one day a week, right?
yeah, yeah,
And so we've got to figure out a new world of how we do that. Is the tooling that we have right? Is the audiovisual stuff that we have in the office right? Are our practices going to have to change
yeah.
to support hybrid? And they will. And can we get back to our lean model that we had 2 years ago, doing it in a hybrid and not in a physical? And we were all about the physical boards and cards on walls and stuff like that. We've moved all that virtually, and it's worked. There is this little bit of comms issues between teams that we've got to try and figure out. And I was having a conversation about that this morning about with one of my program managers around this and how we might, get that. But all companies are going to go through this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You know.
yeah. That's it. I mean, I can remember before the pandemic, we always talked about continuous improvement and how to take those steps forward. So
Yeah.
if you're applying that now, every time there's a problem, it's problems real. And we're that's even though we're going back to the office a little bit, we're still in a big time of change, right? Everything is
Yeah.
changing, and we're constantly learning. So that's interesting. If I could just ask you, just kind of bridge the gap here, because you're a veteran, right, of this business. You were Fleetmatics and then Fleetmatics into Verizon Connect. Can you give everybody who might watch this or watch the replay just a little bit of a flavor of your history with the business?
Yeah, I came in 2013. So I joined Fleetmatics, as you say. Now, Verizon Connect, just so people know, Verizon Connect is an offshoot of the Verizon business, right? So Verizon is a large telco in the US, and probably the largest, and it's probably one of the top premier networks in the US, if not it is the best network in the US. And they acquired a number of companies, and one of them was a company called Fleetmatics. A number of companies in the mobile management resource space, which is kind of, fleet tracking, end-to-end service requests. If you want to get hire a plumber, or electrician, or get your cable, installed, stuff like that. We provide all the systems that allow the company, manage that service request, right? You want to get your boiler serviced, all that kind of stuff, and we track the vehicles and all that. And Fleetmatics, a company in New Zealand called Telogis, and there was another company in the US called Hughes Telematics. Verizon bought all these to get into this business, right? It was a plan to build solutions on top of the network. We bought a number of companies over the years in different business verticals, right, around this. But Telematics was one of them. But I joined Fleetmatics, which is a Dublin-based company. It's headquartered here in Dublin, and we did all our development out of here, right? And then as we brought the three companies together, a lot of the leadership of Fleetmatics kind of rose to, especially in the R&D space, kind of rose to the top in Verizon Connect, right? I came in, like, Fleetmatics itself started in 2014 or 2004. So it's been there a long time. And the general manager or CEO of Verizon Connect was a former founder of Fleetmatics, right? Peter Mitchell.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's been a roller coaster. Like, we acquired a lot of companies as Fleetmatics and then got acquired ourselves. And over the years, we've been bringing all them together and, we've re-platformed a few times over our career as well, which has always been exciting and, interesting. And just a little bit on the technology, I think maybe we should talk a little bit tech, right? We, as I said, we are vehicle and asset tracking. In recent years, we put intelligent video on. So, with dash cams, basically. So we can, detect people running through stop signs, people on their mobile phone, near misses, near crashes, tailgating, all that kind of stuff. And we have a team in Florence that does a lot of the brains behind that, and a lot of the AI and machine learning around this intelligent video that does all the object detection on the videos and stuff. It's pretty cool technology, and they work with multiple universities in Florence, in Bologna, in California, and places like that, to do all this research. So there's a lot of kind of deep learning behind a lot of this stuff, and a lot of innovation that we do.
There's a pretty big research project lined up with University of Bologna and CERN and places like that ahead.
Yeah, Berkeley. Yeah, we do a lot of we take a lot of the data or research that they've done in the past, and then we apply it to what we're doing, and then all our learnings and findings that we discover as we're implementing our intelligent video, we feed that back into the research of those universities that can be used then for other companies, right?
Yeah, that's phenomenal, because it's not just not just the immediate benefit that Verizon Connect might get, right? That information is going in and been cycled out to the university, into industry and other businesses too. Yeah,
and they're doing some pretty interesting things, right? And one of the things we haven't cracked yet is identifying traffic lights, for instance, right? Doing visual representation or identification of traffic lights. It's easy to identify a traffic light, which is just, two on a road, right? But when you get to a junction, right, and there's somewhere going left and some right, and you can turn on right or turn on left, and it's extremely hard to do, and it hasn't been cracked anywhere in the industry. And we're working on that right now with those universities to see if we can improve that technology enough that we can actually do object detection on traffic lights, right?
So we're going from the now into the future there, and I think you've touched on driver safety, road safety, all of those kind of things. I remember speaking with Peter Mitchell at some stage last year, and he had actually talked about the technology that you're building at the moment that's going to prevent crashes by telling people what's going to happen if they don't shift trajectory pretty quickly and that type of thing. I mean, is that back into the space you're working in? And
look, there's key pieces that we do for our customers. One is about return on investment. So if you kind of go with us, we have to ensure that we make savings for the customer, and we do that a lot through fuel usage, right? We have a thing called idling that we detect, which is basically if you're just sitting there in your vehicle and you leave the vehicle on, you're not moving, just sitting there. So you might have the air con on because it's really hot in summer and you eat your lunch, and you might have it's really cold in winter and you might be sitting there in the van, whatever like that. We can reduce the amount of emissions, or reduce the amount of diesel you're burning or petrol you're burning, right? Based on the use. We can also reduce it based on erratic driving. So if you're driving erratically, or driving hard braking, hard cornering, hard acceleration, that burns a lot more fuel. So we actually help our customers educate their drivers on how to drive better and drive safer, which actually reduces the amount of fuel they burn. And they actually, the bigger customers save quite a lot on this monthly, right? Okay. So and we make their drivers safer, right? So you ever see on the back of vans years ago, right? You say, "How's my driving?" and they give you a phone number. Well, we replace all of that because they don't need people to ring in anymore. We can tell them. Our systems can tell them. Your driver is driving erratic. They're speeding. They did a harsh cornering there. Oh, they swerved and nearly missed the vehicle, and we can tell them with the video camera that they nearly crashed, or they nearly hit a deer, or they nearly, they ran through a stoplight. Stuff like that. Right.
the video product has an interesting history, right? I think it's one of the biggest selling products we have now.
Yeah, it's the fastest growing upsell product we have, right? And it's doubling every year. And one of the things I'd like to talk about on that is that that wasn't just one idea that someone came up with one day. Right? We run all these global hackathons every year, right? So we do an annual one. We used to do 2 a year. We usually do one now because it's so big and we have so many people involved. And these are phenomenal. We do 2 days. We down tools for 2 days.
Yeah.
And we allow the engineers and all the product UX, everyone gets involved. And they basically can work on any idea. Sometimes we put a theme around it. Sometimes they just work on any idea they want for 2 days. So they get more or less 48 hours to hack. And they have to present then at the end of the 2 days, over the course of a week, we schedule all these kind of demos and they demo to a panel and then they can go, there's a couple of rounds and then you get to the final and you demo again. And there's prizes and all that kind of stuff at the end of it. But it's really phenomenal. And a number of the ideas from those hackathons came to help shape that product, that video product, right? And we did the same. We have another upsell product called Field. And that's around managing that end-to-end life cycle service request. Customer calls in, we give them a quote, take the payment, all that kind of stuff, dispatch a vehicle. We can schedule when what equipment to bring and all that kind of stuff. We have a whole product called Field that manages that. And that came from multiple hackathon ideas as well. So, and we do a lot of innovation here. We invest a lot in innovation. We try to allocate about 5% of our time every year to all the teams to do innovation, right? That includes hackathons, that includes innovation days where some teams just get in a room together and go through a lot of ideas and come up with some stuff, and then we'll spend some time implementing them into the product, or trying to get funding to implement them.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because it's innovation done on purpose, right? And you're involving all of everybody who wants to be involved in globally. I think you mix the teams up globally as well, right?
Yeah, we give more points to so we it's cross-functional teams. It's like a teams of 6 to 8 people or 5 people or something like that, I think. Yeah. And what we try to do is, we'll give you more points. Judges will give you more points if you have a cross-functional team. Teams from different locations, teams that you don't normally work with, people you don't normally work with every day. So we try and mix it up a bit as well. And it's a great way of you getting to know other people in the company, and then that feeds back into how you work every day then as well. You create contacts and you build networks across the company. So yeah, they're phenomenal. And I used to run them, in my previous role. I used to run these, and I ran a number of them over the years. And I used to get right buzz out of it. The energy from the teams was amazing on those days. So
yeah, it's funny because we always log on for the judging sessions and that, but the judging sessions, the vibe, the buzz around them is phenomenal, and then the prize winners and that. But it belies the hard work that goes on.
Yeah. And even the buzz around, it's a little different now because we're remote, but the last one we held was last October, and some of the offices like in New Zealand and in Italy were open. And so a lot of people went into the office that day because it's just easier. When you're hacking for 48 hours, it's much easier to be, physically located. So a lot of people went in to do that, and the buzz in the office. But in the old days when we were all in the office and we were doing it, the buzz around the place was amazing, right? Just when people are hacking, you could see they were stressed and they were trying to, meet the deadline and all, but they were having fun. They really were loving it. So it's a really, really useful tool for innovation and for just creating a camaraderie and a buzz in the office.
It's funny. One of the questions I wanted to ask you was, why should people work here? And I think you've nailed it. That's a very big cultural thing. It's not just a thing we do. It's part of the culture. How else would you describe the culture?
Well, look, here's what I say with our culture, right? I mean, and I talked about lean earlier. Like I firmly believe in lean. I've given talks on Ali, Agile Lean Ireland, and Agile Tour and all. I have a set way or philosophy of how you should build software. It's not about Scrum. It's not about Kanban. It's about a mentality, right? And you have to change everything, your architecture, your engineering practice, everything to achieve your roadmaps, right? And I always have these taglines of like, if your product or UX you're expecting that, you don't care about what engineering does. You should really care about how engineering does. You should care about how the architecture is structured. You should care about how much the build and the deployments are automated. You should care about whether there's automation testing in there, because guess what? Your roadmap will not get implemented if none of that stuff is there. You can have the best Kanban, the best Scrum, all that kind of stuff in the world. None of it gets done if the architecture is terrible and doesn't allow you to continually deploy and all that. And we build that into our philosophy. That is our philosophy. I drive that down through the teams, right? And as I said, we lost it a little bit over the last few years, but we're getting it back again. And we've seen in the last few months, we're starting to really kind of get back to that where we were a few years ago. And that's what we're all about. We're all about delivering software small and incrementally that will create value for customers. And that's what software engineers want to do. They don't want to work on a 3 to 6 month death slog of a project, right? And not have anything at the end of it to show over, or, we will, but we burn them out. I mean, so we want to go small, incremental. I always talk to my teams, break down. Don't look at the big boulder of work. Chip it off. Let's do the next bit, and then the next bit, and the next bit. And we'll learn as we go along. And if we have to put stuff in dark and we keep putting things in without putting it live, and then we put it live in 6 months, that's fine. But you're not burning teams, and you're not working to a death slog of a day, right? And we lost, as I said, we lost a little bit. We're trying to get it back again. I'm trying to change the mentality of how we build software. That has always been my philosophy in every company I've worked for. This is the first company where I've fully been able to implement the way I've always wanted to build software. This is the first company I've ever worked in that I've able to. I had flavors of it and others, and I'd be able to do a bit of it, but there was always kind of, we don't do that here, and that's not the way things work here, and we can't do this, we can't do that, and but in Connect and in Fleetmatics, I was given the autonomy to just do it and make change, and we make change every day, and everyone's giving me. I give the autonomy to my leaders, and I expect them to give it to them, and so on and so forth. You have autonomy to do this, and we always talk about these autonomous teams. We have a squad culture, which is like 6 to 8 people in each squad. We give them the autonomy to make their own decisions and do stuff. Now, there's alignment, but they have to be aligned with roadmaps and all that kind of stuff, and architecture, but generally day to day they can make their own decisions, right? And that's what you want. You want self-managing teams.
Now, I'm looking at the clock here, and we have 30 minutes scheduled, or up until 12:30 or so. So one of the things I wanted to touch on was those teams. You're doing a lot of building at the moment, right? What kind of people are you recruiting?
Everything, right? Android developers, iOS developers, DevOps, so build engineers. We need systems engineers. We need support staff, like level 3 support. Hardware support engineers. We have QA, so we don't do any manual QA. We do all QA automation. So we need QA automation engineers, full stack developers, you name it, DBAs. The full gamut of everything, right?
I think that's an important differentiation, actually, at least from a talent acquisition perspective, is that the testers that we hire, they're developers, really, right? The rest,
they're developers, and some of our developers will actually do the QA automation as well. That's a true kind of autonomous team. They'll do that once teams are stuck and stuff, right? So, and look, we have an architecture team, and we're trying to stand up some enterprise architects or solutions architects now as well. We've had, because we have a few vacancies there. So if anyone's interested, let us know. Because there's some pretty cool stuff. Like, we're fully AWS, right? It's big data, high transaction. As I said, we're all lean principled, and it's a microservice and event-driven architecture as well. We have still some bit of a monolith, but we've re-platformed a good bit over the years. We've still got some monolith going on in there. But now that we've fully moved everything up to AWS last year, we're going to be chipping away at all the database. The database are still monolithic, and we're going to be getting rid of all of them. So it's pretty good, and it's IoT, right? So there's a lot of stuff that you can learn in this company, and you will learn an awful lot. And we try to do best practice where we can, right, in our architecture, in our engineering principles. So,
okay, we're actually, speaking of the cloud and going to AWS, I think we're one of, if not the biggest AWS customers in
We'll be,
Ireland.
we'd probably be one of them. Yeah. We have a lot of, we have a lot of big relationships with companies like Google Maps. Like Fleetmatics was one of the first customers on Google Maps, or one of the biggest, and we're one of their longest serving customers, right? So we have a long relationship with Google, long relationship with AWS. Companies like AppDynamics that do all our monitoring and stuff. Microsoft, a number of the big players. Not only do we have relationships with them, we've actually influenced their roadmaps as well. And we have a lot of really talented people here that work with very talented people on their side, and we can influence what they're doing, right?
It's amazing. Okay, well, we're just about at time now. So just in terms of the jobs and the careers, for anybody who's interested in working with people like Nick and on teams in the way that he's described, leave a comment below. If you leave a comment, we'll reach out to you. We'll connect with you. Connect with Nick, connect with myself, and we can talk through all of the career options that we have available. Nick, for anyone who might be, thinking about making a move and coming to Verizon Connect, do you have any final or parting comments for them if they're watching the video now?
Yeah, look, if you're looking for a change and you want to change your mentality of how you produce software, you want to get into that lean mindset of delivering small, incremental, and doing continuous improvement and always learning from every delivery you do and everything you do, we're the place for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Come and talk to us.
That's the message. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, thanks a million. Happy Friday, and really appreciate you taking a few minutes to talk to us. And
thank you.
We'll be sharing this far and wide and keep on building. So talk to you again soon. Cheers, Nick.
Cheers. Thanks.
Okay, so that was our first Fireside Friday conversation with Nick Power. We're going to do this every Friday afterwards. I'm going to ping Nick afterwards and get a suggestion. I actually meant to ask him there before I let him go, but I'll ping him and ask him for a suggestion on who to talk to next. We're going to keep doing Hump Day Wednesdays with the TA team. We'll look at Job of the Week next Wednesday. So watch this space for more of that. But for now, have a great Friday. And as I said, comment below. You want to hear about jobs, architecture, developers, SDET, QA automation engineering, DevOps, the list is long. Reach out and connect with me, connect with Nick, connect with anybody on the TA team. But for now, happy Friday, and we'll talk to you again soon.
From where we work to where they live. From our technology to supporting theirs. From each and every one of us to each and every one of them. Everything we do affects everything they do. That's why how we work, what we believe, our values make all the difference.
We share our success with the community
to make the world in which we work better than it was yesterday.
We keep our commitments to each other and our customers.
We know teamwork enables us to serve our customers better and faster.
We focus outward on the customer, not inward.
Our actions produce measurable results.
We run to a crisis, not away.
We are committed to doing the right thing.
This is our credo. Our guide to what really matters. How we stay connected to each other and to them. We are Verizon.